it's exactly the same for the Bank of International Settlements and the European Central Bank. They're all in it together, unfortunately. Money is mostly created on a computer screen. A very small percentage is actually made into notes, because most of the time we use plastic. Now, what you've got to realise is that the people we're dealing with now don't take it personally, because when you get a letter from the bank and you think, oh God, they're asking you when they're chasing you for 10p or something, or 100k or whatever it is, you start getting upset. You've got to understand, it's just people working in the system. They don't realise that the whole thing is totally fraudulent. They're just doing their job. So I think the important thing, the secret to winning the game for everyone, is to assume a deficiency of love in your opponent and then apply some. That was a classic one. So it's a matter of treating these people, if you've got debt collectors phoning you up every day and being rude, you don't have to be rude back to them. It is a game. You can actually treat them with a little bit of humour, a little bit of understanding. And what's interesting, of course, is being in debt is one of the consequences of playing the game. Why do you think our government is in debt? There isn't enough money in circulation, unless the Rothschilds give up their own private hoard, but there isn't enough money in circulation to actually pay off the debt. Because if they actually create this much money on a credit card for you, say that's £1,000, they're going to be wanting about £1,200 back. Well, that £1,200 hasn't been created. So the problem is that the economy either has to grow, or some people are going to default on their loans or credit cards. That's part of the system. It's not necessarily because they're useless with money, it's because the money hasn't yet been created. Okay, so we're going to look at rules of engagement here. For credit cards and banking debts. And so what I'm going to do is just give you a few simple rules. Okay, I am putting together a website at the moment. I'll give you the address a little bit later. For those of you who might actually be having got any problems with this, it's a great game to play. It's far better than the normal board game Monopoly. It's far more interesting. But and these rules, I would suggest that you don't use it for your mortgage or your utility companies. I stick to sort of loans and banks at the moment, because the problem with mortgages, they can, until you've actually taken your house out of your straw man name and got it into your own name, I wouldn't actually do it. And utility companies can be sods, because whether you've actually got a lawful, whether you actually owe the money lawfully or not, they'll still cut your services. So, and there aren't many courts which are happy to actually, they tend to side the utility companies rather than sticking with contract law, which is what we're sticking with. Okay, so don't do that, but obviously once you know what you're doing, then obviously, give it a go. If you owe your bank or credit card company any money, surely they should be able to provide you an invoice. Is anyone self-employed here? We've got quite a few people who are self-employed. Does anyone who's self-employed pay statements and then give the statement and the bank number to your accountant or your bookkeeper? Does anyone pay statements, or do you pay invoices? Invoices, yeah. If you pay, I was self-employed for a few years. If ever I actually couldn't find the invoices, there's 3 invoices here. Oh, I've got a statement. That'll actually match up. That's no good. You've actually got to phone up those companies and get an invoice. However, with a credit card company and even with your bank, they will not invoice you. And yet you've got a right under commercial law to actually ask for an invoice and a signed invoice. And of course, you have a right to ask for it in your name, which isn't the uppercase name. We've already seen that. That's just your token to play the game. When you go to court and they ask you your name and you say, yes, that's right, they're reading it in uppercase. You didn't realise that. They're tricking you to contract with the court. You don't have to contract with the court. When the policeman asks you what your name is, they say, oh, can you give me your name, please, sir? They say, yes, which name would you like? Would you like my legal name or my lawful name? So your credit card company say, well, hang on, I've got a really bad memory. Look, I've got so many credit cards here that I can't honestly remember actually having a contract. So could you send me a copy of the contract, please? Just to confirm that we actually have a legally binding contract. Now, they might be able to send you a photocopy of the original application form, but of course it will only have your signature. It won't have the banker's signature on, which makes it in normal contract law, you need an offer and acceptance. Now, what they do with debt collectors, they're very clever. If anyone's had, no, I won't ask you to put your hand up and be chased by debt collectors. Right. So, what they do, they phone you up. They don't actually want to deal with you in writing, because what they want to do is just harass you, because they know deep down they haven't got the law on their side. So what they'll do, they'll actually phone you up, and often they'll phone you up sometimes twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, sometimes every day except Sunday. So, and once you know it's a game, you have some real fun with them. Now, what they tend to do is say, can you pay something, anything? How about a pound a month? And you think, that's quite a good deal. You know, I own £5,000, £1 a month, and they're going to be off my back. It's brilliant. Don't do it. If you offer to pay them £1 a month, you are entering into a verbal contract with them, because you're agreeing to pay them something. What they do, they will ask you, and remember, of course, on the telephone, they always say, oh, we record these telephone conversations for training purposes. They don't record them for training purposes. They record these conversations so they can trick you into a verbal contract. A verbal agreement can be held up because they've recorded it, or it can be held up in a court of law. So, yeah, it is, it's as good as it's more difficult to prove, but they've got their tapes. Oh, you agreed to pay us £1 a month. Therefore, we'll pursue through the courts for the whole lot. So, it's all part of the game. It's only a game. Once you actually know what the game's about, you can have some great fun, especially with debt collectors. They've not got any chance. They haven't even got first-hand knowledge of the contract, or supposed contract. So, another thing, ask the debt collectors for proof of agency. So act them if they're a legal agent on behalf of the bank or whoever it is. It's very difficult for them to actually, well, they really have, to be honest. I've never been produced, no one's actually shown proof of agency to me. And the important thing to do is give them, in the same way as they give you 14 days, 10 days, I think that's plenty, give them 10 days to respond. Because you know contract law better than they do. All they're doing is following their little sheet. So once you actually get the hang of this, you can have some fun with it. Right, if they do not respond within 10 days, you can then have what's called a tacit agreement with them. Okay, and you can make up your own terms. Now, some people make up far better terms than I've got here. Because if you can't prove, so Rosemary, you're saying that I owe you £10. Well, I don't agree. Yeah, I disagree. Can you prove it? And if you can't prove it within 10 days, then I think that you actually owe me £20 if you can't prove it, because I want £10 damages. And you can do exactly the same, because if somebody is demanding money from you and unable to show any documentary evidence within a reasonable amount of time, you can then turn around and say to them, well, we agree to the following terms, because if you can't prove that I owe you any money, and of course they can't, because they won't invoice you in your name,